Good morning to all, and buenos días, bienvenidos, hermanos, in español and English. I've got my cargo pants Bible cover with me, what my kids say it is. So it is great to be back, another great trip that we had. It's an honor for me to share the details of some of the details of what went on during our January medical mission trip. We do several trips during the year, but the January trip, or sometimes it runs into February, depending on the Chinese New Year, we do major medical trip. We had a lot of people serving, a lot of medicine that we bought, and so on. And so it's just an honor to share. Sacom says hola to everybody, and I'm very appreciative of the love that everyone has for him, and he'll be here around Easter time, I think. And I thank God for Walnut Hill and for other churches and individuals around the U.S., and we have people from different countries that participate financially or join us on trips. It's amazing. It's become really a big deal in the country of Cambodia. And we all play a part in various ways. It might be going over to Cambodia with me. It may be giving to the needs over there, praying for Cambodians, and praying when we're on the trip, and encouraging. It's amazing to me the encouragement that comes from all of us, English and Spanish, loving the people of Cambodia, and most of you have never met them, and yet you love them, which is just a really great thing. I understand that while I was gone, there was a snow and ice storm that happened last year. And so I appreciate you guys praying for me, but I also had asked for a special prayer for ice and snow when I get back. And look at this. So I don't know. I don't know if you guys are praying or not. Not sure. Maybe you don't like it as much as I do. I like it when the city just shuts down and nobody can do anything. And I like it. This was our American group that went along. On the left, the blonde-haired guy, that's Ethan Thomas from up in Indiana. And next to him is Brandon De Benedictus. Brandon is a newer Christian in our church family here. He's in the back. Raise your hand at least, Brandon. I know you don't want to. Thank you. Good. Brandon did awesome. He just fit right in and with the preacher students, and they had a blast. Next to Brandon is Pam Bailey. She assisted the guy next to her, Dr. Tad Tollison. He's a cardiologist. This was their second trip, and she assists him. I don't have any pictures of him doing his work because he brings a portable sonogram, and he checks pregnant women and things like that. So they have a blue plastic garbage bag blocking the area. That's the privacy setting that they end up with, but they've never seen sonogram like this, and so he's got it on his phone. He's showing them the video and so on, and the movement of the baby, etc., and the people there in the villages are just blown away. And we don't do any work in the city. There are people that do work in the cities. A couple of the bigger, Phnom Penh is capital, 3 million, whatever. All of our work is in the remote villages. Usually there's no electricity, and pretty primitive, and it's great people. On the flip side, the guy with short hair there in top right is Stuart Powers. He's a dentist, semi-retired. He lives in Waxahachie. He's come with me the last 5 trips in a row. Can you imagine pulling teeth every day doing that? I mean, it's crazy, but he loves it. He loves the people there, and we give him some interns, and he works with them as well. Mark Banks, the guy with the white beard. Mark and I graduated together in school, learning our Bibles for a couple of years, and I was counting last night, it's 15 trips in a row. 15 trips he's come with me over there. He didn't come during COVID. He had more brains than I did, and then yours truly. So there were 7 of us from the U.S. that came, and then this was our total group. I think we had 54 or 56 people. And so there are our Cambodia Bible School students. They did crowd control, helping, because sometimes there might be a line of 50 to 100 people standing in line waiting to have a doctor look at them. And then we also had, of course, the American team. We have 3 full-time doctors, Dr. Tola, Dr. Selah, and Dr. Da, and they work full-time with Succomb. And there's 12 all Buddhist villages around us. We're out in the country on 100 acres, and there are 12 villages. We provide free medical care to everyone. We don't charge anything anytime. Even on these medical mission trips, nobody pays anything. Everything is free. They don't have any money. And then there's our Cambodia Bible School graduates that are, and maybe they're still students, but most of them are going to be graduates. They come along and they help serve as well in various ways. We also contract with anywhere from 8 to 12, 8 to 14 Buddhist military doctors, Cambodian military doctors. They love to help the people in the villages, but they don't have an organized way to do it. So we provide an organized way for them to join us, and they love it. And a lot of them are repeats. I think one of the doctors has come 10 years in a row with us, and they love helping the people in the villages. So I'm leaving a couple out here. Of course, there's Succomb in the middle and the orange shirt there. We had also 4 dental interns that were in their final year of dental school. So Stuart, when he's pulling teeth himself, they might come over and ask him for some help, and he would go over and advise them. There's a lady doctor from, her husband lived in Duluth, Minnesota. She's from Georgia. She's a family practitioner. They've lived in Cambodia for a couple of years, Dr. Jacqueline, and you'll see a picture of her a little bit later. Joshua is a nurse from Germany. His family lives over there. He and his wife and 2 kids. They live up in Siem Reap, the northern part of the country. And he traveled with us for both weeks as a nurse. Over there, a nurse can serve as a doctor pretty much. I don't think I'm forgetting anybody, but it was a great group that went with us, and a lot of great things were accomplished. It was either 55 or 56 people total, and just a couple of cultural things that are interesting. I always see some amazing things. Sometimes I get them on camera. Brandon was helping me a little bit, and this just looks like 4 motorbikes. These are people who came into our seminar. But if you notice on the bikes, you see the red and the orange. Those are pieces of yarn that the Buddhist priests have blessed for them to protect them from getting in accidents. And so all 4 of those in a row, they've got all kinds of yarn. So we'll have new believers, but we'll also have Buddhists. Sometimes we had some Muslims this time that came into our seminars. But we tell them, how many here are believers in Jesus? And they'll, maybe half of them will raise their hand, 2/3 or whatever. How many of you here are Buddhists or Muslims who are visiting? And of course, they're a little bit like, man, this might be a bad thing, and they'll raise their hand, and I tell them, listen, you're our special guests. I thank God so much for bringing you here and for bringing us all the way from America to share Jesus with you. And you are special to us, and they love it. Sometimes they're not, don't think that maybe they're not wanted. Then in the morning, Succomb's got us up, leaving at 5 a.m. It's every day. It's one day's worse than the next. And but the people in the marketplace getting set up before it gets light out. And they had to clear out some stuff before we got to this point, but now they end up having, I think, to clear out some more stuff. But that's where a lot of business takes place, and a lot of commerce and people getting their fish or getting their vegetables for the day and so on. And so we're trying to get to our place, but we had to go through this area. But it's just such a unique culture, and they survive. It's a rough life, but they survive. And this here is the factory workers. And I'll tell you about a factory worker at the end of the message. But you see, they ride in almost like cattle trucks. There'll be 50 of them stacked in a truck and work in the factory all day. There are half a dozen of them living in a one-room apartment at night together and work several days out of the week. But a lot of commerce takes place, when they get off, they're buying different things, and it's just, it's so different. And of course, in my mind, I'm thinking, those are all people, if we just followed that truck to where they get dropped off and share Jesus with them, so many of them would become Christians. And, the country's still about 95, 97% Buddhist. So we have a lot of mission work to do there. But it's an interesting, I'm taking the video out the window there, so it's a little bit cloudy, but I thought there's other people set up shop. They're selling shirts and pants and so on, and it's just how they do business over there. It's a wild way to live. And the thing is that they're like riding in that truck. They're talking like they're on an airplane. They're talking, laughing with each other. They're on their phones. That's just how they're living, and just very, very humble, very gracious. They just keep moving. And when things happen, when you get your leg blown off for stepping on a landmine or whatever, we deal with a lot of those people. They're just living. They got a crutch and they live. They don't sit and squawk about it and spend the rest of their life. Look at these guys sitting on top of that truck. I mean, I think it's corn on top, corn stalks or something. That whole pile could fall off. They had to duck their heads when they went under high lines. And this was at one of the schools we were at. So if you go to school with some of you young people, don't complain about what things are like. The middle bathroom here is locked, so I'm sure it's in worse condition. They just shut it down. But that's their restrooms that they go into during the day. That's really a poor. We were at Soi Rien, is the south eastern part near Vietnam, and Soi Rien is one of the poorest provinces in the country of Cambodia. But Buddhism, obviously, you can see from that, very, very prominent. Then, so we get to where we're going, and every day, we go 2 days each village. The first day, they always have big dignitaries come in. And so the governor might come in, a senator, because they're getting the national cameras are there, the TV stations are there. We're on TV 2-3 times every time we're there. We're on the national TV and Cambodia Christian Ministries, and they just keep saying our name, and they tour around the property. But so when it might be someone from the capital, the agricultural minister or just the interior minister, or maybe his assistant. A lot of big shots come in. So when they come in, they're always late on purpose, I'm sure. And but they march in, they park their vehicles outside. There'll be real nice vehicles, and the big shots in one of the second or third one. And usually Sacom and I walk in together with them, and then we come up front, and then they're gonna have us all stand up, and then they speak for a while. A long while. It's hot. Standing up. I said, "Do we not have any chairs? No chairs here, and you got to sit." But look at all these people waiting for medical. They're all in line. They all have numbers and so on, but they're all going to get treatment because in the villages, almost always there's no medical care or very little medical care or very bad medical care. And so when someone like us, we pull into the bus, they just stare at it. They're just watching us, and as we pile out, they're so thankful. And of course, if they see white doctors, man, they think that's Cadillac for some reason. But and especially we had Joshua and Jacqueline, and then Dr. Tad. But it's and on the bus when we ride, 50 of us on a bus, and then we have another vehicle behind us with some people in it. I mean, everybody's laughing, talking. The unity is unbelievable between people from Germany and Cambodia, and sometimes from Chinese that lives in Taiwan. She was in Australia at the time, and all these different cultures and colors of skin and all this backgrounds and so on. Everybody's laughing, talking, because everybody's serving. Nobody's trying to get their way on anything. We just think, these people need our help. We got to let God use us. And so everybody's nobody's thinking about themselves. There's no time to be selfish. And so everybody's laughing, talking, taking care of each other. It's just really a good thing. This is the medical area. Usually there's a bunch of tables where that girl is standing on the right, and people are sitting, waiting in line, but they got them standing in a line outside. And so those are several doctors around in a circle there. There's 2 areas where the doctors were. That's Dr. Jacqueline, the one from the U.S. that's been living over there for, I think, 2 or 3 years now. And then there's Tad. You can see the back of him. And the people are mesmerized by, he's showing him that pictures, a video of the baby in their belly. They've never seen anything like that. And I told in class this morning, Sacom told me a long time ago, to some people in Cambodia, they think the whole world is a rice paddy. because they'd never been more than a couple miles from their house. Only thing they've ever seen is that their village, the Buddhist temple probably maybe nearby, people on the side of the road on their motorbike with a little cart behind, and they're selling stuff off the back of it, and they got their bamboo huts and stuff, and so the people in the village is a sonogram. They've never heard of this, and so it's really really awesome, and it's all done in the name of Jesus. Everything that we do is in the name of Jesus. And there's Stuart with one of the interns pulling teeth. You see in the background, this is a classroom. Every place we went this time, almost always this happens, they shut down a school for us. So kids won't have school for 2 days. It might be a high school, and there's 2,000 students, so we have half a high school. But they just shut down the school, and we teach Bible on the property, and there'll be a big Buddha statue behind us, and they're just so thankful that we're there, and they love our God. And some of them end up being converted. This was the pharmacy. There's your pharmacy right there. There's CVS. Cambodians very sick. And Brandon's got this look on it. I had several pictures of him, but I like that one because I think what he's saying to me is, if you don't pay up for these drugs, I'm going to break both your thumbs. That's what it looks like. Sakni is a young girl there. She's one of the original orphans we took in 2013, helping this lady. And most of the time, they're in the background. You see, they use a Bible, a Khmer Bible, and have them read out and try the reading glasses. We don't do prescriptions anymore. And this guy is just thankful that so thankful that we were willing to bless him. So while the doctors and nurses and dentists and so on are doing their deal, then Mark Banks, he's always with me in January, we do seminars. So people have to sign up. SCOM actually tells you got to get permits from the local leader, the district, the province, and the capital. You got to get all these permits and so on. And it's basically still a communist country, so you got pictures of your passports. They want to know everybody where you are at all times. And it's safe. They like us. We're very popular, so we don't have any sort of issues ever anymore. We had some a while back, but not anymore. And so Colm tells the leaders, oh yeah, please come. We need help. He said, well, we always do both. We never do just one. And so we have to do medical, but physical, but we also do spiritual. And so they get people that want to sign up, and of course there are house church leaders, different church groups. It might be Baptist, Presbyterian, Methodist, or whatever. They don't care. We're just Cambodia Christian Ministries, and they love us because we teach Bible, just Bible. We don't have anything else there. And apparently we're one of the few groups that will answer questions. Others come in, they just want to lecture while they're there for 2 days. And we try to open it up once they start one question, we're done for 2 days. We'll never stop. They'll have one on top of another, and they're always amazing questions that they'll ask. And so some church leaders, we might have 125 people in a group that we're teaching. Mark and I he'd go in one room, I'd go in another room. And then the second day, after you get several day after day after day, you're getting tired. Your voice is wearing out. And so second day, we'd collapse together in the afternoon. Then the next year, we collapsed the whole second day together. And now we just teach together the whole time, and we just take turns. And the other guy gets a break, but it works out really well. But some of the believers, they'll be in the group. There'll be, I get a gift every year from Cambodia, going away gift. This year was acute bronchitis. They always give me something to send me on my way. But there'll be, maybe if there's 125 people, there will be maybe 20 house church leaders. They're preachers that maybe they farm, maybe they fish, and then they have a house church under their house. Their house is up on stilts, and they'll have a little house church. Might be 10 people, might be 40 people. Some may have a little building, and they have 60 people, whatever. And then there'll be some newer believers maybe that they bring with them. Newer believer meaning they don't know much. They know about Jesus, and they know some things about Jesus, but they still might not even know about the resurrection. And of course the Buddhists, they won't know. Most of them won't know about how Jesus died, and then so they got no idea that he came back from the dead, and they're just blown away when you share that with them. I was telling the class this morning, like I said, you know, and Paul, we're talking about the evil spirits, because that we do a lot of that. You know, Paul goes into Athens, where there's all these statues and idols everywhere, the people of Athens worshiping everywhere. And I thought, they probably not know where Athens. I said, how many of you have ever heard of Greece or know where Greece is? And like out of 100 plus people, 2 people knew where Greece was. So I mean, they're in the villages, they're ignorant, but they're not stupid. They just don't have the information. I'll share a story with you with a guy that, unbelievable. They're very smart. They just need the input. And so it is the teaching the people there is a great joy. So you'll have church leaders, newer believers, and Buddhists and Muslim all mixed together in our classes. So this is where the medical mission was taking place. I had Brandon video where we were teaching that day. We're in the boondocks. When we get to the boondocks, hang a right. And January is a dry season usually, so we didn't have any rain. So we got us way in the back teaching. They had us, there's another place I'll show in a minute where we're by the road and we had to move. It was bad. Couldn't hear anything. So we teach in English and we have our interpreters that teach with us, but that's a pretty good sized class there of people. A really good group. And then here we were alongside the road, so we moved. This is an area, we're in kind of east central Cambodia. This is one of the 2 areas in Cambodia where they still have wild elephants. So there's about 400 to 600 wild elephants in Cambodia. So we were, having fun with asking. We wanted somebody to take us for a ride and stuff. Said, no, you don't want to do that, and stay away. But where we were teaching down the hill, back down in there, you might see an elephant, and if you see them, you might try to run. But if you hide behind a tree, it might not help you too much. The tree's just going to fall on you when he knocks the tree over, So we're way, 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 way in the back. They finally found a place for us to go to teach. So some people would say, man, what are you doing? That would be a bad thing to do. That wouldn't be what kind of preacher would want to go back there? Man, that's a steak and lobster there, right, Herman? That's great. Just awesome. So here we are way in the back, and there's Mark Banks teaching, and I'm getting my much needed voice rest. Well, maybe I'm teaching there yet. I guess Mark's in the next one. But way in the back and down, you go down that hill. You have to go maybe a mile or what, I don't know how far, but there'll be some elephants around somewhere. This was after lunch, so people were still coming in. So there's Mark teaching, if you can see him very well, kind of blending in there. And so that was amazing. Well, then some of the newer believers, and occasionally there will be a Buddhist who says, "This is the first I've heard of it." There's a story that I'll have in a little bit about it, but I want to know. I want to know if I can become a Christian, and so they have no hope. What happens after I die? No idea. And in this life, there's a lot of evil spirits. And so this is bad. And so when we teach, we always end up teaching about the evil spirits because that always comes up. Because there'll be people with the yarn tied around their wrists and so on and on their handlebars. And some of them will have a belt around their waist. You don't see that till they come to be baptized, if they've trying to get protection so they don't get sick. If they have that belt around there, the Buddhist priest will bless it for them. And but some of them will say, I've been believing in Jesus for 8 years, but no one ever told me that I should be baptized. And so we'll have some of those people, but we'll have some that are brand new and say, I've made a decision, I want to be baptized. And so our total stats were, we had 54, I guess it was, and on our team that traveled. They treated 6,687 people in that little less than 2 weeks. So people might get a tooth pulled, but they also might get glasses or see a doctor and get a prescription. And so that'd be 2 visits, 2 patient treatments rather. And so there were 13,419 total patient treatments during that trip. Over 1,000 students, and we averaged about 100 people a day, and 27 that gave their lives to Jesus. So let's see here. I'm not sure where I am. Okay, special stories. The audio on this did not come out good. There were traffic and birds and all kinds of stuff, and so we never got the video. So you won't hear Tra. This Tra is one of our graduates of our school, and he now works for us. He grew up in the jungle, way up by Laos, almost to the border of Laos in the jungle, where a family sacrificed animals, birds, cows, whatever, fruits to the evil spirits. They might put a bunch of bananas in a boiled chicken out in the field before they go do work so that they don't have an injury when they're out in the field. One of our students went on like a Cambodia New Year, went home, and his mom and dad told him he needed to put that. She put some bananas and chicken out in the field for him to work, and he said, "I don't need them." And I've become a Christian. I don't need that. I have Jesus. And she said, "No, you need that." And so I said, "Well, what did you do? What did you do?" And so when he went out to work, and then all of a sudden the students all burst out laughing, and because he told them in Khmer, and Sakom said that he was hungry, so he ate the bananas and the chicken. And so Thra said their family, they would sacrifice to the evil spirits and so on. He went through 5th grade. That's as much schooling as he went through. Schooling is a half a day. So basically, he went through 2.5 years of school, and it's not that good of an education. So his education is maybe halfway through 1st grade, early 2nd grade. That's his educational background. So he and his cousin Yosue came to Sakom back, I guess probably 2013 or somewhere in there, asked if they could come to the school. Super smart kids, really smart, just blank screens. And so he's a Krun, K-R-U-N, Krun, is native Cambodian. And there's Kui, and there's different tribes, kind of. He's Krun. So he spoke Krun and some Khmer, but that wasn't his first language. So he had to learn Khmer, learn to read, and go through our school, learn Bible. And unbelievable student. I hardly smiled. He and Yosue, they're just like sponges. They only care about learning about God. And so he graduates from the school, goes on the internet by himself. Think about his education. He goes on the internet and learns how to speak English, and gets a job with a Chinese woman that is teaching Bible to some degree, and she doesn't speak Khmer, she speaks Chinese and English, so he was her interpreter, but she was teaching some things that weren't right. So he came to us and asked us, what should I do? And I said, well, you need to tell her that, you're going to have to just teach Bible. And so they parted ways, and we told him, if that happens, you come and see us. So they parted ways, and so we brought him in. He's one of our interpreters now. So here's a guy that had hardly any education, learns, God equipped him and helped him, and he learns English, and he's usually my main interpreter. And of course, he's not, super proficient, but he gets it done. Now, he married Sakom's granddaughter for job security, I'm guessing. But God has a way of removing limits. We put limits on ourselves as to what we can do and can't do. This is all I'm good at, and this is what I can do. Maybe God has some things planned for us if we just give in and say, God, whatever, if you want me to do something different in serving you, you help. And doors will open. Things can happen. I wouldn't brag about it. It's definitely not worth bragging about. But one of the guys I went to school with, he's one of my best friends in preaching school, and he told me about the first year was done. He said, Meyerhofer, I think it's a miracle you can preach a sermon from start to finish. I said, amen. I'm right there. I'm with you. I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, I was scattered, disorganized, OCD, ADHD, XYZ, but we see people like Moses and Gideon that Lynn talked about in our men's breakfast yesterday. People that don't feel qualified, but maybe God can use you in areas where you're limiting God. And Thra is a tremendous example of somebody that is willing to let God work with him, because his desire to serve, that's the issue. Sometimes this is an easy way out of not doing something. I don't have the ability. Well, maybe if we want to serve enough, God has a way, and God will open doors for us to serve. And I understand there's going to be some new classes coming up in March with the elders on discipleship. All of us need to be like Thra, like sponges, looking what are areas where I can increase, where I'm serving, where God can use me. Now, this next lady, Sakim, I'll give you a few details. You'll be able to hear her, but it'll help if I give you a little advance notice of what she's talking about. You'll be able to follow her closer. In 1998, when she was a teenager, she lived on the village in the middle of the country, Kampong Chenang province, on Kampung Lang Island. That's where we had all those orphans years ago that I talked about, the 2 big orphanages there. And she lived on that island, not in the orphanage. She had a family. And when she was, I think maybe 18, she moved to Phnom Penh, and she worked in a sweatshop factory for 8 years. She got paid $30 a month, worked 7 days a week. She got home 1 week out of the year, Cambodian New Year, she said maybe 5 days. She lived with 6 other girls in a 1-room apartment. They ate rice and fish 7 days a week, 3 times a day, 7 days a week, year-round. That's how she lived. Then when she got done with that 8 years, it wasn't enough money, $30 a month, $1 a day. And so she went to work, signed a contract, basically slavery, and went into Malaysia for 8 years. Part of the time she ended up in Canada with one of the family members. They allowed her 2.5 hours sleep a night for 8 years. That's how she lived. And did every kind of task you can possibly imagine. Not sexual abuse, just every kind of task you could imagine. She'd get to come home 1 week a year. If she violated the contract, then the guy with the Cambodia government and the Malaysia government and the rich guy that got all hooked together to get these people, because things don't end up the same way as when you sign, and you can't get out then. And they'll take your property, it's all not good. And so when she was in the factory, so she's in the factory for 8 years, in the Malaysia for 8 years. When she's in the factory, halfway through, someone gave her a little Bible. Started talking about Jesus, and that was the first time she had ever heard the name of Jesus. She shut him down and said, that's not my God. He's not my God. And so she said, that's the only thing I heard about it. And so then she goes 8 years into Malaysia, and in 2014, she comes back to the village. She's done with her 8-year contract. She comes back to the village and comes to a seminar we were holding at the orphanage, one of the orphanages. And she brings her little sister, Sri Kao, so Sakim and Sri Kao, they come to the seminar, and in 2 days, she says, I want to become a Christian. Sri Kao, her little sister's like 14, says, I want to become a Christian too. And so they both were baptized along with several other people. And then the next year, we came out there again, and she begged Sakom, can I please come to your school? Can I please come to your school? I promise I'll stay away from the boys. and of course, she's old enough to be their mother probably. So Sakom says, very politically incorrect, he said, I have enough problems, I don't need any women there. And and of course in that culture, she didn't think anything of it. She didn't like it, but she didn't start calling them names and so on. And so 2020, during COVID, she went into business with a guy, might have been a relative, and everything fell apart because nobody could go anywhere. She got stuck with the bill, and we bailed her out, and her mom and dad ended up being converted. They came to the school, but after she went back, after she became a Christian in 2014, she went back home and told her mom and dad what she did and what started talking to them about Jesus. Very evangelistic girl. And her dad told her, leave. You need to leave. You're crazy. She said, I've just been gone for 8 years to Phnom Penh and 8 years to Malaysia, and now I have to leave again. She said, okay, my life is not my own. And so she left for 5 years. And so, just unbelievable life, makes you cry. So in 2021, her mom and dad had come into the school, so we told her, you come on, we'll take care of it. We'll take care of it. We'll pay you a salary. We'll draw out $50 a month. You can pay back the loan. We're going to give you, you work with the children, help with the children and so on. And so I thought, the story of Joseph. After all those years, his brothers throw him into the pit, sell him into slavery. Ishmaelites got him. He ends up down in Egypt for decades. And Potiphar's wife accuses him of trying to rape her and gets thrown in prison. I mean, all these things happening to Joseph. And finally, it says all throughout the end of Genesis 37 through 50, but God was with Joseph. All this in prison, but God was with Joseph. All that time. And in the end, Joseph ends up being brought up, interprets a dream for the Pharaoh. His brothers come down to Egypt. His brothers, after his dad dies, they all think Joseph is going to kill us now. Joseph is weeping about that. Why would you think that? And he says, you meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. And so sometimes when bad things are happening in our lives, when we're trying to be a faithful Christian, think of Joseph. If we're walking by faith, God is still with us. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for you're with me, your rod and your staff. They comfort me, David says in Psalm 23. Even though he says in the beginning of it, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Sounds like he gets at everything. No, verse 4, I'm walking through the valley of the shadow of death. And so someone like Sakim will inspire you, I think. And we'll play this, and then I have a final thought. And crank the volume up.
I'm from Kampong Chnang province, and for 8 years I stand in Phnom Penh city. The time the new have some like people saw the small Bible talk about Jesus, but when people give to me, like my eye, my ear closed, not understand. So he gave to me. I said, no, this is not my God, because from my father, my grandma, my grandfather just just worship the, how to say, different, the God, not Jesus, which is wrong way. So I just heard, but I not need this God. Then the time I like 17 years old, 18 years old, I heard name God Jesus one time in Phnom Penh. After when I go to Malaysia, I 24 years old. So I go to work like the slave, yeah. I wake up 2 o'clock and I go to sleep 12 o'clock. I have to do a lot of things to do, but when we go there, why we can do? Because I need money. So I said I have to finish. I have to finish contract. So the first time for me very hard to understand. Work is sometimes we cannot work, but we try to work. Because if I'm not working, he send me to a company, to agency, and agency send me somewhere, cannot send me back to Cambodia right away, no. And then I stand in my home for 1 week, and then I heard people say, have teacher come to preach about Jesus. So I try to go to lesson, and from my house to the church, we have to take 2 hours from the motorbike. So I don't know how to drive motorbike. I call my younger sister, Srikal. He carry me to lesson. And when Sakom and teacher, Lukruma teach, then like open my ear, open my eye to what I really want to follow this Jesus. After I baptized, I want to follow study Bible, because I really want to know how I follow Jesus and take the job to work, and then I follow Jesus. But my family hates me, don't like, or he don't like me. And I said, okay, My father, when I talk about Jesus, the time him still drink wine and smoking, like I very hard. So I said, really, I want my father, my mom to know Jesus, my sister to know Jesus. And he said, I crazy. So, but I don't care because I'm not angry to him, to her, because he don't understand Jesus. So one day he asked me to, you go away. And then I said, do you like me? I already go 8 years, 16 years, I already go far away with you. But I love you, I like you. I will never think about myself. I love family. I love father, I love sister, I love mom. I never think about myself. I go to slave in Malaysia. I saw the clock, but I come back, everything the same. So what for? I don't believe your God, I believe Jesus. Now I know I have sinned. So you want me to go again? I can't go. I said, I go stand church with Bishop Mom. Do you like me to go? I asked person again. So
her father, when she worked for $30 a month, and then the 150, I think, or 130 she got paid in Malaysia, she sent almost all the money home. And then she's converted to Christ, and when she told them she became a Christian, they told her to go. She said, well, I've been gone 8 years. I left my family. I love my family. And I go to work to bring money for the family for 8 years. Then I go 8 years to Malaysia. And I send the money home for my family. Now I become a Christian, and you tell me to go away again. But I go. I don't think about myself. It's just amazing, amazing girl. So that's her little sister, Srikau. When I went there last August, she said, Srikau's here. You got to see her and stuff. I didn't know who she's talking about. I didn't remember her name. I didn't remember anything because it was, over 10 years ago. So I didn't remember. She was 14 when she was baptized. And but anyway, and then it turns out Srikau is married to a minister. And so she's in ministry as well. And they have some orphans that live with them. And they're up in Kampong Chenang area. But really amazing to see the things that God does if people will open their hearts and let God use them and not curse God and get mad, but instead just stay the course and give God some time to work things out. Of course, we're impatient. We want it right now. And for her, it took 16 years, then plus not living with her family as well. She just wanted to be with her family, and they didn't want her there. And so and now her mom and dad have become Christians. Her dad died last year, and Sacom did his funeral. And the mom is still alive, and the family loves her. Many of the family members have been converted, aunts, uncles, all kinds of people have come to Christ because of her. Because she's going to, if you get around her, she's going to tell you about Jesus, and a super strong Christian girl. So Christianity, one of the big things that we taught there is that Christianity is more than a religion. It's not just a religion going through rituals and so on. Christianity is actually having a relationship with the God who created this whole world. That He's actually willing to allow us to become His children, and we can call Him Father. And it's different from anything else. There's nothing like Christianity, where the very God who created this world, because of our sins, leaves the glory of heaven, comes to earth, suffers and dies as I was thinking about it during the Lord's Supper this morning. I encourage you to do this next week. When we're taking the Lord's Supper, just envision that somebody's grabbed you by your head and has forced you to watch them beat Jesus, whip Him, and forced you, envision in your mind's eye them driving nails into His hands and feet, and you're having to watch it. And just envision that while you're taking the Lord's Supper. I mean, it really is impactful. But the God of this world did that for us, for me, for you. And so when we come to believe in Jesus, it's not just I'm going to do a bunch of rules. I get to have a relationship with God. And what happens is that's why we are baptized into Christ. We're not just baptized in water, we're baptized into Christ, into where his death, his blood was shed. Come up out of the water, and guess what? Jesus was raised from the dead through the glory of the Father, so we too, we walk in the newness of life. How do we do that? Paul says, I've been crucified with Christ, figuratively speaking, meaning I have died to my old life. And it's no longer I who live, but Christ lives in me. We're with our God. He allows us to have a relationship with him. And so we don't ever want to reduce baptism or the Christian life. We don't reduce it to a bunch of rules and regulations and traditions, etc. We elevate it to a relationship with the very God who created the whole world, and yet he's willing to, and knows us by name, hears our prayers, and so on. And so that's some of the things that we talk about over there, and they're just like blown away. It sounds almost impossible that could happen, but it does, and it can happen for us as well. And you may be here today saying, I need to get some things straight. We can pray for you. Maybe you're here, you want to be baptized into Christ, or maybe you say, I have some questions. And for me, questions are excellent. No bad questions. All questions are good. If you have questions, say, I want to know more about this or that, whatever. What do you teach? What you teach over there? What you teach in general? I want to know this about Jesus, etc. I would be honored to hear from you, and I might end up where High studies with you, or the elder study, or whatever, whoever you want to study with. But it's important that we get it taken care of, because we're not going to be here forever. And this morning as we close, we want to extend God's invitation to you. If we can help you in some way, come while we stand and sing together.